Ding 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 ding.
That was the final countdown, at least for a second there.
It was. Yeah. So, speaking of not things that aren't actually the Olympics,
What?
have you guys heard about this? The Asian Olympic Games are going to be esports related.
There's going to be a medal event in 2022. And in 2018, they will showcase some quote unquote esports as a demonstration sport.
And as you know, a showcase is the sport getting well on its way of becoming something you can medal in. But I guess since they've already confirmed that they're going to be doing it in 2022.
But I don't know if it's actually going to be an official event until after that, right? Like I don't know how the Olympics work as a whole. But
can we acknowledge how far we've come? Like we are now video games are becoming a sport. Like video gamers being acknowledged as athletes.
Well, you could have already, in some high schools and colleges, you could have already lettered in it in esports.
Yeah.
Right,
and
on a team.
Then I think it was it Yale? Some like big major university actually had it as a thing that they were like, yeah, come to this. We got scholarships for you.
Scholarships for athletes.
You're good? You're good at League?
Yeah, if you're good at, if you're good at League, you're also a mathlete.
What?
Well.
What? You play Criddle Sticks? Fuck yeah! Come on, man. Join our team.
Yeah.
Yale.
I'm still kind of hesitant about the idea of people calling it esports because I think that's the one thing that rubs your
esports people the wrong way.
No, I think it rubs your athletes the wrong way.
Your old school thinkers for one thing, and your physical athletes.
Fuck them. I was an athlete for quite a while. And
what'd you do?
I played tennis for a really long time.
Damn it, of course you played tennis. Yeah. God, you're such a prince. Baby steps, man. Baby steps.
But yeah, so I don't know.
Other tennis animes.
I'm willing. I'm not your like bulky linebacker on a football team kind of athlete, but
someone's got a bowl.
I'm willing to give. Yeah, exactly. Bowling exists. If they're really all that like set on that you have to exert a lot of physical labor on it, then there are already some things considered sports that we can go ahead and give a side eye to, like bowling.
Marching band.
Yeah.
You can let her in that.
I don't know if it's necessarily a sport, but it's certainly an activity.
It's like a team-based activity.
Kind of like cheerleading is a team-based activity, but also a sport.
Yeah. You know? I forget what the actual definition of a sport is.
If there's competition involved and if there is like some sort of physical input in it, we've pretty much become comfortable as a society turning it into a sport.
We can throw a ball at a wall and call it a sport.
Wall ball's great.
Isn't it though?
Possibly the best sport.
Yeah. But so
right behind Foursquare, actually.
My argument, at least for it, as someone who was an athlete for quite a while, and respects like athletes and athleticism, you got to put in time to train. Like there's totally a mental element to esports. There's no arguing that, which is what I think is my favorite thing about actual physical sports. Like you can be physically good at something, but when you get to a point where everybody is really physically good, then it starts becoming a mind game in a lot of ways, especially in things like tennis too.
Especially table tennis.
Yeah.
That's my tennis.
Another tennis that I play a lot of. I just can't get enough of net sports.
I'm in agreement with you there because the sports that do not require the mind game, so to speak, I mean,
aren't as exciting.
Yeah, like I don't watch the javelin throw. I don't watch competitive running
or vaulting or like
those are the sports
jump.
that my baby cousin does.
Sorry, man.
Your baby cousin,
she throws put.
Shot put?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I had to think of that for a second. Like put.
Yeah. She throws shot put. She's real good.
Yeah,
I'm proud of you.
Which I don't want to demerit those activities.
They're just not entertaining.
Personally for me, they're not entertaining.
They're just watching someone throw something really heavy at distance.
And so it's impressive in the fact that like I can't throw that nearly as well as you can. Yeah. But I trust that you can throw it better than I can, so I don't even need to watch. You got to take in wind
resistance and things like that. No, not really.
So,
at least I don't think. At least not for shot put.
Esports athletes, with the air quotes on, athletes, they also have to have at least some level of like responsiveness, right? Like people who are good at playing games like League of Legends or Overwatch, like Their eyes are moving constantly, and they're using, although very fine motor movements in comparison to any other sort of sport, they are using the motor movements of clicking.
If you're playing League
and stuff,
it's all about that footwork in League.
Exactly. Yeah, like your actual
character
physical input is exaggerated within the digital space that the game exists in, but the like precision and amount of control you have to have over that is still pretty, I think it's still a pretty high barrier between amateur and professional.
That, and so I bring up the question to you guys. How is this going to affect those main sayers who kind of like, those people who actually go and fly from America and places to go watch the Olympics? Not the athletes themselves, but those people who actually go. What do you think they're going to think about this? Because I know we're a video game podcast / weeb podcast.
We're sympathetic to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what about them? Those guys who, I guess they don't really watch football because that's not an Olympic sport.
But they're still going to the Olympics either way.
Depends what football you're talking about, right?
Touche, because
watch soccer.
Because football is an Olympic sport, but football is not an Olympic sport. Because fuck football. But football's great.
Football or football?
I don't like football. I love me some football.
He went from redneck to French.
And you had something in between that was indistinguishable. But
maybe a bit of Spanish, like a Spaniard in there?
I thought that.
I had to go with me animorphs.
But
language morphs?
I don't know. I'm willing to bet that the people who are going to see the Olympics, this is just one of those things where they could honestly be like, that's fucking stupid. I'll still be at every other event that I normally go to. I just won't waste my time with watching StarCraft 2. Why is this even a thing? Don't they know that there's better esports?
I'm sure the people that go to every winter games is like, curling's fucking stupid. I'm sure there are some people that say that.
Curling is the one.
No,
I think curling's awesome. Okay?
Curling is the best one out of all of them.
That seems like a really fun party game if it was not so hard to set up.
If there's a little bit more drinking involved too, that could be a blast.
Yeah, exactly. Like ignoring all of the preparation. Just imagine you have like 5 guys or like some of your friends and you're just at the bar curling. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
you gotta sweep faster.
Sweep faster. No, stop. Wait. No.
There are bars that do that like curling shuffleboard style thing. There's
one
called
in
Sullivan's Bar by UNMC that does it.
There's one. Oh, really? In town? Sweet.
Yeah, I'm not promoting that place though because their bouncer's an asshat.
Well, I guess we're going to Kansas City, boys.
Yeah.
There's a sports bar that's got like pool tables, curling, shuffleboard places. It's like huge.
Wait, cool. So what makes a shuffleboard different when it's a curling shuffleboard?
So shuffleboard versus curling shuffleboard. I don't know.
I mean, there's not really a big difference, but shuffleboard is similar
to curling.
Okay, yeah. I see that.
Whereas,
and it's we're talking a tabletop shuffleboard too, not like on the deck of a like cruise ship shuffleboard, but like
I have
small ball
before.
bearing washers that slide across the table,
and it's elevated about the same height as a like air hockey or pool table, but it's really long still,
very long and very slick. They're normally waxed if
you're doing it right.
Well, so just imagine if we could just find a way to have more people involved in that with mini brushes.
That would be awesome.
Away like sand or something.
Yeah, because there is sand in the little like pit area around it normally as a catch, and so you can have a little bit of sand on your washer, or you can like wipe it off so it's clean.
So depending on how far
you can add grit or friction too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean we're almost there with it being like a tabletop event as well. We've deviated a lot, but we do like curling. While we're on the deviation, I want to also say one more shout out to curling being super cool. Anybody else play Kirby 64, where if you had the rock and the ice ability, you turned into a curling washer?
Really?
Holy fuck.
You just slid through the level as a curling washer and you destroy anything you came into contact with. It was amazing.
Man, that sounds vaguely familiar. That was actually a really good.
The best combination of powers. You could
did.
have a Darth Maul like electric lightsaber thing, and you could be a fucking refrigerator. Like these were all powers.
Ah.
So, what games would you guys like to see? if we did have Olympic competitive games, because have they named anything for 2018?
No, they've basically just named the genres. And
Dota
even
2,
then, they're
obviously.
expected, like MOBAs, first-person shooters, and FIFA as well.
Shit, they're gonna have CS:GO, aren't they?
Yeah,
they're gonna have
probably.
CS:GO.
They gotta, because it's Counter-Strike.
Like that is the staple of the competitive first-person shooter, right?
That's when they do something weird, like oh god, what's that game that's about to come out? The arena-based shooter that's also got the hero's name attached to it.
That's about to come out? Is Paladins in early access still or beta?
It is, but I'm not talking Paladins. Used to be a game that everyone played back in the day. It was the arena shooter.
Oh, we're talking about Unreal Tournament, right?
Unreal Tournament Heroes. What if they just like, bam, everybody, first person shooter.
Yeah.
Unreal Tournament.
Unreal Tournament would be great
And
for that.
in the rocket launcher events, we have
Dude, seriously, my appreciation for Unreal Tournament goes back to like that's what my dad used to play like way back in the day. That's
Unreal
what
Tournament
got
2000
him
was
into
my
video
game.
games. Was
that
Unreal
was a
Tournament.
beautiful rocket jump out from Striker 34.
Oh my gosh, there's so many good games though that you could use for that. Like Titanfall 2, if anybody's seen the gameplay for that.
I have Titanfall 2. I played a little of Titanfall 2.
Mm-hmm.
But there was just so many other things. I was playing Battlefield 1 at that same exact time.
Mm-hmm.
Breath of the Wild came out shortly after too.
I think they have to be games that can be short
Yeah.
as well. So that's the other thing. Like Titanfall makes sense. CS:GO would make sense. Maybe not so much sense for something like Battlefield or a ticket-oriented game. Way too long.
No.
You
So
say that, but
they all have to be. I think they'd all have to be short enough games where you're playing for 30 minutes to an hour for the like rough time.
how long does a Battlefield match go for?
They can go for a while, like
'Cause if
depending
you-
on how skilled people are and how big it is.
Yeah. And that's the only time me and Lizzie play Battlefield, when it's super big and everyone's super unskilled.
That's right. Those like 64-man servers were the best back in the day.
When you initially
still
said
are.
short, I was thinking, yeah, like CS:GO matches can go for like 5 minutes sometimes. Like they can be really short.
Well, we're thinking about this in the same context that there might be games like League of Legends.
Right.
And League of Legends, if you're playing a regular 5v5, sometimes it'll go to an hour, even with the
So-
really competitive.
so
Which that's
basically-
what I was saying. Like
So
I
basically,
wouldn't
you're
consider
at that
League
point
short at all.
where you go with Dota too?
No, I mean because they have
no,
an
you wouldn't,
equal-
because it's not as good as League.
I know, but what would you do?
I'm in agreement with you there. No,
I think you suck it up, because that happens to be like
So do you just take
League
the...
already does it. Like the League of Legends tournament already makes it work.
Yep.
And so they just have to be really efficient in how they go about it.
So basically, do you just have all the qualifiers and then just one round of league
But
between the one team?
The
at least to
argument
start with, you'd say, right?
The argument you can also make between, say, first-person shooter that CS:GO lasts 5 minutes and, Battlefield could last over 30 minutes. Well, when Battlefield starts approaching that same amount of League time, I don't know if it necessarily, like, the tension and the entertainment ramps up in League, because you start building items and things start getting more and more drastic in how they happen. There's more of this, like, seesaw effect to it. Meanwhile,
Battlefield's just... you've been
Battlefield,
watching...
it's the same thing happening over and over. You may, like get a checkpoint, or not a checkpoint, but like you capture a point, or you may be like doing a choke point for strategic tickets, right? It's still a ticket system, isn't it? Yeah. Nothing has changed in the fundamental gameplay or like the amount of impact a player has. Your impact remains the same throughout the game. There isn't that snowball effect to finish things off.
So basically what you're saying is...
Games that don't have
It's
that
gonna be
snowball
Overwatch.
effect. Yeah, games
It's going to
that-
be Overwatch, because that's the first-person shooter that we're playing.
Which right now, is that still the most popular first-person competitive shooter? It
For me.
seems like it. I'm not sure if that's the case. Ignoring CS:GO, because that's also a staple.
I'm willing to pitch CS:GO in there just because Russia will throw a fit otherwise.
But yeah, so it's like, I don't know. I've kind of fallen off the old Overwatch bandwagon, sadly. I think actually right at the time I got the Paladins codes.
You're really enjoying Paladins then, or?
Paladins is just different enough, whereas like, so when I play Paladins, it's kind of like, the first couple of matches of playing Paladins, it's like, oh my god, it's all the Overwatch ripoffs. But then you remember that Paladins was in development before Overwatch, so Overwatch is the Paladins ripoff. But Paladins doesn't look nearly as like polished or good. But like the gameplay elements change so much, so it's Smite, but a first-person shooter.
Okay,
or maybe a third-person shooter. Is Paladins first or third? It's first.
You were just playing. Maybe not today, but
he had an out-of-body experience as a first-person player, and so
yeah,
it became third-person.
As a whole, though,
characters that pop out into third person so I can see all around me. Anyway, but yeah,
as a whole, like, I'm really expecting this to be a very light to begin with. If we were to see something in 2026. Like, we might just see the final round, or, well, I guess like the final 4 teams, I guess, because they need a bronze, silver, and gold.
Okay, predictions from you guys. When is it that we have an almost entirely separate Olympics just for esports?
Does that not already kind of exist?
2022.
I'm talking about it is a collective, like, there's nations against one another and not teams. Yeah.
So
we have Team USA going up against, Team Brazil.
But don't they kind of do that anyway? Because usually the people are from the one thing, and they say, and
but it's also going to be not just a tournament for, this is the League of Legends, like national teams against one another.
So you're talking like a esports Evo?
Esports Olympics.
It's kind of like an all-star game in that regards.
Yeah.
Because like I really wonder the logistics behind how well that would work, because team chemistry matters so much in MOBAs in particular. Right. You could argue that your Team USA would not be nearly as good as just your best team in the USA.
Because that's kind of how they do it with Evos. They're just like, and this person just happens to be from America. This person happens to be from Japan for the Street Fighter World Championships.
Yeah,
it's Japan versus
that work
US
for 1v1 games, like where you don't have teams. Like,
no, that's what they do. They literally, like, this person's actually representing the US.
You're the United States.
No,
because you're
I get
the best
that.
of the United States.
But if you need to differentiate your fighters in that regard for the Olympics, do you do something like the Ryder Cup? Is it the Ryder Cup with golf, where you have like British team, like the British team is like 5 golfers and they're playing the same score, so to speak? Or is it 5? Is it 4? I don't know.
I don't golf. So yeah. I agree.
I think
this works.
I think that's how
I was born near the Masters.
Potentially work, where you would have a team of American or United States people that played Street Fighter, and they would go against a team of Japanese players or Russian players or whatever.
It's kind of just a so this matchup, this matchup, this matchup, this match. So kind of like how they do with ping pong tournaments on team games.
Oh, is that how they do it?
Yeah, so there's 2 individuals, a doubles match, and 2 individuals. Last individual being the anchor, are like, so if there needs to be a tiebreaker,
sure,
that last one. So basically, say team 1 wins their first match, team 2 wins their first match, then there's the doubles match. Or so at this point, it can end at the doubles match.
Oh, that makes for like an amazing anime or manga
ping pong
setup,
girls.
Where like
ping pong girls, literally ping pong girls. That's how I know this.
Well, what I'm about to ask real quickly before we continue to deviate is,
I like how he's already given up.
Is like one of the teams they face, do they actually have their best player as the anchor? It's like, we've never had to use our best player in so long, but this time we do. We're normally assuming they use your weakest player as your anchor, right? Not necessarily like weakest, but you want to have your best players playing in the games. You want the upfront win that you're going to play. Yeah.
So basically, the first little tournament they did, their ping pong team was like so bad because like their head person that they did who was on the doubles team was out. So basically, no one would want to play with them. So kind of like Haiku, the volleyball anime. But so what they did was they had a practice match with this other team, and like their best player was after the doubles match. So she was the fourth round, and then like their best player was the last one, and it was just like, yeah. So basically, you want your anchor to be your strongest player, because if it comes down to that,
you do want your
Wait,
best
but that doesn't
player
make
to cinch
sense.
it.
So basically, what you want to do is
Can your anchor also play in one of the earlier matches?
No.
So you're purposely putting your best asset in a game that they might not even be playing.
You want them to be in the clutch position. So you kind of you're hoping to win that your best player doesn't have to play.
I understand that, but let's just say your team has a variety of talent on it, and one of those members of the 5 players we have, we're going to just say 5, even though it's technically 6 with the doubles, right?
Yeah.
But one of the players is the weakest, like the weakest by far on the team. You want to put them in the final spot because...
No, you want to put them in the best spot.
You've
the first
lost
spot.
at that point if you put them in the weakest spot.
But if you put them in the first spot,
then they
second,
might lose. But if the rest of your team does well because they're stratified appropriately,
then so you don't want the weakest in the back. You want the strongest in the back.
I still feel like you want the strongest up front. Just get your first 3 wins. Win it.
Well, you still want your first 3 wins, but if it comes to that final match, you don't want that weakest person back there because at that point,
what if you have your strongest person in the last spot and you lose the first 3 matches?
Then that's it. So basically,
exactly.
Then the rest of your team
player
sucks.
Your strongest player never had a chance to win a game.
So this is a legitimate strategy that exists within other games like this. Like with tennis, the way that they'd set it up, there are teams there. What their doubles 1 team would be, they'd put them at 2 because they're like, we can earn this win easy.
Yeah.
You know? Like the way you organize your team is also a strategy. So technically both of the things you guys are describing are right.
We're solving this esports problem now.
They're both techniques, and that's part of the game. It's a meta part of the game, but it's still a part of the game.
I guess I just feel like if you're going to play all 5 matches regardless, then it doesn't.
You're not going to play all 5 games,
and
regardless.
that's what bothers me though, because you are taking that person,
you're taking a gamble
out of the potential roster.
Mm-hmm.
And
but you've got to be efficient enough with the rest of your team that it doesn't matter that your strongest person's back there. That strongest person, that's your pinch fucking hitter. That's your clutch guy. It's like if you have a weak person that's weak-willed and they're like, oh no, now the game's fucking riding on me.
You're already SOL on
game over.
On the other,
you need that clutch person. It's all about that. It's all about that clutch strategy. We're playing the long game.
Yeah.
If you guys coached your own teams, you'd be at disagreement.
We'd have very, very different.
Oh man, this sounds like a sitcom because we're not actually cartoons, so we can make it an anime. It's a sitcom now. I love this.
Okay, moving on from there though. Let's talk about Code Vein. We spoke about the hashtag Prepare to Dine teaser last week, which probably just came out yesterday. So we,
yeah. So everybody's really surprised about this.
Like, oh my gosh, these guys don't know shit about it, even though it was announced in the middle of the week.
Yeah.
No, yeah, but really quickly, Scott, you had some thoughts on this game, right?
I mean, I get excited for anything that has
vampires.
No, I was gonna say any sort of reference to Dark Souls at all. So when I saw Prepare to Dine, I mean, you take 1 letter out, bam, that's Dark Souls. They just added an N. It looks like it is not going to be Dark Souls. That's okay.
A little more Twilight than Dark Souls.
A little more Twilight than Dark Souls. So what is Code Vein? Code Vein is going to be a third-person anime vampire RPG. And it looks pretty. From what I can see of the screenshots, there's quite a few screenshots posted now of it. And it seems, I don't know, it strikes me like it might be more like a Platinum game, kind of a beat 'em up like Bayonetta or whatnot.
Character action.
Yeah, character action. Yeah,
Bayonetta.
I just finished Nier, so I'm like already kind of in that zone, and normally it's not my thing, but after how good Nier was, I was just like, oh, this could be good. I'll have to keep an eye on it, see how it goes. It seems like it's going to be breaking the
4th wall, 5th wall, 6th wall.
No, there's no walls being broken. I think it'll break the formula that people expect from Dark Souls, in which you have a very like every move that you can execute in Dark Souls seems at least like common. There's like no super secret finisher. There's no way for you to like enter a rage mode or anything like this. And from what they seem to be saying about Code Vein, it sounds like there's going to be some like special powers and stuff going on.
So basically you're saying magic is not a secret finisher? Just play the magic build.
Yeah.
Glass cannon, man. Glass cannon.
But what
Everything
I'm saying there
dies.
is it
Come on,
doesn't
Jonathan
seem
Joestar.
like it's an easy it's an easily executable like trump card like some of these games, the fighters by like Platinum and whatnot. Like, what is it in Bayonetta? You can go into witch time or whatever and slow everything down.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do that.
It's
in
just a
Dark
perfect
Souls.
counter.
Yeah. So what I'm saying here is this one seems like it's going to be more action oriented than like strategic fighting against groups and whatnot, and that'll be okay. I think that'll be a cool thing to check out. Also, the fact that it's got a gun blade is always exciting.
Would you call it a bayonet on a rifle though? Just
Yeah.
a larger bayonet?
Yeah, it's a rifle that is its own bayonet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying that because it doesn't necessarily. The more I look at it, look like a traditional gun blade, like a gun that is embedded into a blade. It's more like the blade has been put onto the gun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm arguing semantics. I'm sorry.
Yeah, really small semantics. Either way, I'm
I've got to see this picture of this gun blade.
interested in what more will be released as we get as we progress into the future and they decide to give us some more ideas about content.
Well, I'm just still really surprised that the teaser we got had absolutely no
this the gun
in-game
blade?
footage.
Yes.
Okay. That's
Like
the gun
no
blade?
in-game footage at all. That teaser that was like so stylish.
It was a
artsy,
stylized
cartoony.
animation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like part of me is kind of like was taken aback when I read that, and I started looking at the graphics, the screenshots,
And
I'm
it
like,
doesn't look like the animation either.
yeah, not in style. It's very vibrant. It still has some dark overtones to it, I guess you could say, but
It's got the character style that almost looks like Fire Emblem, or I'm trying to think what the
Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
Tokyo Mirage Sessions works too. I was thinking there's one that's got kind of a watercolor to it. That's an older game, Valkyria Chronicles.
Oh,
kind of thing.
yeah. I think they actually just announced the release date for or no, never mind. They didn't announce it. I just saw it on Amazon. The next Valkyrie game.
It does not look anything like Valkyria Chronicles either.
Yeah, which at the same time, I'm not necessarily sure if that's a bad thing. Like having played Valkyrie
That's fine.
Chronicles,
Yeah.
I kind of felt that at times it really made light the impression of what war should leave on you.
Totally agree.
Like,
is
this a
a
rom-com
little
or is
too
this war?
cutesy. Yeah.
Like this, there are obvious comparisons to the race in this game to Jewish people, and yet at the same time, everything we do is kind of heartwarming.
Right.
Granted, I didn't finish Valkyrie Chronicles,
Neither
so
did
maybe,
I didn't even
maybe
get to
shit
the point where
happens.
it's supposed to like shift, you know?
Is it supposed to get more?
No, it's supposed to get less realistic, I guess. Like,
Oh, the superhumans, right?
yeah, you get superhumans in it. I didn't even get to that point. 'Cause
I just got to the fight with the superhuman, and part of me was like, I don't know, this is starting to become anime. And I know. Normally, I wouldn't.
It was.
that wouldn't
I don't
turn
think
me
it was
away.
really well executed anime either.
Yeah.
That's the other complaint. Like, I liked it at the start as like, oh, this is sort of like Advance Wars with
Yeah,
with a little bit more like player control to it. I liked that idea.
and in particular, the inclusion of, oh god, I can't remember the two characters. This game was developed by Sega as well.
Mm-hmm.
The two characters from Skies of Arcadia was kind of like the reason I got it to begin with. I'm like, oh, Skies of Arcadia, the game that everyone forgets about. That was amazing. But anyways, enough of the memory lane there.
And that's really all I have to say about Code Vein, except that I have my eye on it. Even though I know now it's not going to be a Dark Souls thing, I'll just keep looking at it every once in a while.
That's cool. Speaking of things being Dark Souls things.
Let's talk more Dark Souls.
Let's talk about a Dark Souls board game.
Yeah,
Now-
so
Would you call yourself our resident board game expert, Scott?
no, I know nothing about board games.
I guess I'd be the resident board
Yeah.
game expert.
Yeah, I've been to...
Clue is not an impressive game to have, Cookie.
Are you kidding me? Clue is the ultimate detective adventure.
We actually bought Clue, and then I was really sad and depressed to find out that you actually need 3 people to play it. So we haven't played it.
You didn't know that? And you're our resident board game expert.
Well, not of classic
Well, we're
board
fucked.
games.
Oh shit.
Like, I'm more of a flick 'em up, Ticket to Ride type of guy.
Okay.
Then there's Dungeons and Dragons,
So, yeah.
Wrath of Ashgard.
I've played a couple board games that aren't your like Monopoly-esque board games. You know what I mean? Like
your Snakes and Ladders.
Hasbro. Is it who does that? Who does the
Which one?
Well, I'm just
All
trying
of them.
to think,
Hasbro?
yeah, who does like the most common board games? Like
Hasbro.
it is Hasbro. Okay.
Don't quote me on that, internet, please. And thank you.
I should just look it up who made Monopoly because they've made everything else.
And the lesser known, Monopoly was actually supposed to be the bad version of the game, but there was another game. It was like God, what was it called?
It was made by Hasbro. I just double checked. So
Doesn't
anyway,
matter.
yeah, I've played those classic board games, and then the more obscure stuff that I've played, and by obscure, I'm talking like Settlers of Catan, which everybody owns now, so it's not that obscure.
Not that obscure at all.
Exactly. I haven't played that much outside of the box of traditional board games, but I might buy a Dark Souls board game because it seems pretty cool. This was the result of a Kickstarter campaign.
It's also very heavy.
Yeah, it's like 4 kilograms or something with everything in it, which is apparently very heavy for a board game. But the figurines look really good. Like
I'd use these on my.
They look really good
for Dungeons and Dragons.
Exactly. Yeah. They have essentially like the they have like the basic division of classes between the heroes that are available. As far as like, I can have a faith combat build or a sorcery combat build or a complete combat build kind of thing. Yeah, that's a cool piece. Cookie's showing off the gargoyle piece right now. It looks pretty cool with the content that it has in it, and the way that it's played also looks pretty unique because I'm normally a person where you roll the dice and move so many number of spaces. The game looks like you essentially use nodes to move from point to point within a room, and then how you go through combat is you have, instead of like a stamina meter, health meter, you have one single meter. Every time you, like, the actions that you take, you use black cubes to fill up on the left-hand side of the meter. That's like that's the actions that you're taking. It's your endurance, roughly. But then on the right-hand side, any damage that you take, you put red cubes into. And when the black cubes and red cubes meet, you're dead. It means, yeah, exactly. It's the whole, like, it's a risk-reward system. So as you've lost more health, you can take less risk with the black cubes for action. Otherwise, you'll die. But early on, you can take really high risk with the black cubes for action because you have that extra health. And if you drink Estus, you get to take all the red cubes out or something. It sounds really cool. It also sounds like it really follows the Dark Souls system of like learning an enemy's behaviors and then like farming, or not necessarily farming, but like learning enemies' behaviors so you can fight a lot of enemies and then get enough souls so you can either purchase gear to upgrade or you can increase your stats. And then ultimately, when you've done it enough and you feel confident as a party, you can go ahead and fight the final boss. I should also note, not in classic Dark Souls fashion, if one of your teammates dies, you all go back. So you actually have to work as a group. Meanwhile, as everybody who's ever played Dark Souls online has realized, if your Phantom like dies in a fight for the boss fight, you normally use that moment like, oh, good, he's dying. I need to get some extra shots in on this boss. Like, keep him busy with your corpse for just a second. I'm almost there. Like, they get no reward, but you don't care.
Right.
So I'm in hearing about how cool this sounds. I'm on a hard pass.
Really?
Yeah.
Because you don't like relying on teammates, or?
No, I love board games and I love teammate-based strategy games. I don't love a $132 price point.
Holy shit! Yeah. I didn't even look at the price point.
I kind of just Googled it and it was like, so you can buy it from...
Those figurines make sense then in why they look so good.
Bonanza Little Shop of Magic is selling it for $132.29. You can find it on eBay, the core pre-order, for $119.97.
That's too much for me to be able to afford with a board game, sadly.
And you can also find it on eBay for $199.99. So I'm not trusting the eBay ones.
Inflated. Yeah.
Yeah. So to our rich listeners, Dark Souls looks really awesome.
It looks super fucking cool.
You guys should try it out.
And send it to us.
I'm just going to send a note to Spielbound like, hey, you want to buy this?
They don't buy games.
No. Yeah, they get them donated.
Yeah. So it's like...
You want to ask a donor for this? They're all donated there.
I didn't realize that, huh?
Yeah, that's the reason I'm not into...
half of them are donated from one guy, but...
So that's the reason I actually don't play Warhammer, is because of the price point.
Well, yeah, the figurines are so fucking expensive.
Ignore that.
What are they made out of? Steel?
Yes.
Titanium.
Oh, no. Yeah. But yeah, so...
What is a hard metal that is not cost effective? Titanium.
Right.
Tungsten.
Tungsten, is that harder than titanium?
I don't think it's harder than titanium.
I don't think it is, because tungsten, the drawback of the draw for tungsten rings for men is the fact that if you get into a car accident, they can just take a hammer to it and shatter it.
It's brittler.
Yeah, so
more brittle.
So basically, if you've got a titanium ring on and you get into an accident and they need to take the ring off, they take your hand. They take your finger off.
They take your hand off. It's that hard.
Fuck I ain't even gonna try with the finger. Fuck this. Yeah,
too close.
Those fire axes, they're too wide. You can't just go for a finger. You got to get the whole wrist.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of board games, over the week we also played Secret Hitler.
Yes, this is the other board game that I'm familiar with that's not in the usual lineup. So Secret Hitler is a game that I bought and brought to our most recent fancy friends hangout. And Cookie, that was your first time playing. Neil, it wasn't your first time, was it?
It was my first time.
It was your first time, but you seemed like you understood.
I've played games like this before, so deceit games.
I'm going to give a very simple explanation, then I'd like to hear you guys' opinions. Secret Hitler is a game that takes place right before Hitler comes into power in Nazi Germany.
Let's also say that Hitler is also an alligator in this particular version.
He's actually a T-Rex.
Oh, T-Rex? Okay.
Yeah. But all of the fascists are denoted by reptiles, which is pretty great. So like one of the fascists is a snake, and they're all still in like their like military regalia, which it makes for a very like charming art style in this game. But it's a game of deception and teamwork, where essentially the Liberal Party of Germany and the Fascist Party of Germany are competing to enact policies to either usher Germany away from its eventual historical decline into fascism and then Nazism, or to progress the fascist agenda in order to allow Hitler to rise to power and turn Germany into the less popular Nazi Germany.
To put it lightly.
They've got bad PR. Their optics were terrible.
So, through the course of this game, no one necessarily knows each other's roles except for the fascist party.
The fascists know who each other are, and they know who Hitler is. But Hitler does not know who the fascists are, so he does not know who's loyal to him. And the liberals have no idea who anybody is.
Yep.
Which gives it this... this is really why it's so great for like the deception and the teamwork and whatnot, is the liberals are the majority party, but ultimately they have to know that some of the people amongst them are not on their side. But it's difficult to determine.
Especially when you got bad liberals on your team.
Like Cookie. Hey guys, I enacted a fascist policy. What can you say?
It was really easy to frame you as a fascist that round.
Yeah, we thank you for that.
No problem. We still ended up winning the day, though.
Yeah, so my single complaint before I ask you guys about your opinion is that Secret Hitler is an exceptionally good and fun game. The more people you have, the better it plays, I think. It has a minimum of 5 people, but at that point, it is very easy to just get steamrolled as the fascist, because you really only have to like suspect one. If you suspect correctly one fascist, you've already eliminated almost any opportunity for the fascists to move policy forward.
You have nearly a coin flip in getting that right. A 40% chance to guess someone as the fascist right away,
which
as
is
a fascist.
Pretty easy.
Yep.
comparatively.
Well, especially that guess is without evidence and without knowledge of what people are doing with their turns.
That's the start of the game guess before any context comes in, and context normally improves your ability to determine.
So I would say as a whole, it's extremely fun, and I think half of the enjoyment you get out of these games is based upon the setting or the themes which it's based upon. Is that redundant? Whatever. My only complaint, I would agree with you, it's not a fun game with less people. At the same time, that's not anything to hold too far against it, because it's the same way with Mafia or Werewolves. And it's the same way with a lot of even simpler board games, I feel. Now, as to that particular version you have had, I don't know if there are different manufacturers or if that's the official one.
Official and only version.
Okay. Just to touch very lightly on the construction, the pieces feel real solid. Instead of having cards, you have more of these cardboard tiles for your...
Everything feels really good. And the kind of fake gilding of silver and gold for the liberal and fascist parties, I thought was just such a nice touch.
Yeah,
it was.
It's a classy set of items for the board game.
And I promise we're not getting paid by Secret Hitler, but if they wanted to sponsor us, they could.
Yeah, we're not getting paid. In fact, I paid them to get the game.
Yep. But I'd say, how much was it? $30?
$35 on Amazon. I have an Amazon Prime account, so when the impulse hit me, I had it within 2 days, and that was real nice.
I think that's worth it.
Oh yeah, I agree.
I've already pre-ordered it, and by pre-ordered it, I've got a copy that is
on
in
the
my
way.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now we just need to do this again at some point. How did you feel about the game, Cookie?
I mean, he must have hated it.
I was like, well, yeah, no, that is an amazingly fun board game. I've not found ever since the board game renaissance hit recently in the past couple of years. Have you noticed that a lot of people are just playing a lot more board games?
I'm playing a lot more board games. I can say that. My family likes board games.
But it's always been back in the day, we played a lot of Trivial Pursuit.
Yeah. I mean, we defaulted to Cards Against Humanity was the only thing that anybody has the energy to sit down and do anymore. It's fun. It's a simple game though, and I mean,
it lost its charm for me real quick.
Over a long enough period of time, and with the same exact people, or with the wrong people, it can not be a very fun game. I've played it with my girlfriend's family. They have terrible sense of humor. Just everything they put out, it's not funny at all. So my girlfriend and I look at each other, just what the fuck is this? What are we doing here? Why are we wasting our time?
Should play Cyanide and Happiness. Not Cyanide and Happiness. Oh God,
Antidote.
No.
That's a good one, too.
Cyanide and Happiness made a card game, Cards Against Humanity. Joking Hazard.
That sounds cool. But yeah, so...
I have it upstairs.
So, card games are the one thing that I've been able to at least, play regularly, but I haven't played before Settlers of Catan and Secret Hitler. I can't name the last board game that I played.
So, so I think right when Cards Against Humanity came out, kind of the boom happened that board games started getting cooler.
They were cool again, yeah.
So
they had better concepts.
Secret Hitler, I really enjoyed that. And like I said, I haven't actually played a board game that I haven't enjoyed since I played Cards Against Humanity the first time. So right now my go-to game is Flick 'em Up, and it's cowboys versus outlaws. It's a dexterity-based game. So you quite literally are setting up a little town with scenarios that the outlaws have to come into town, rob a couple of places, and get out before the cowboys kill them all. And you're literally flicking around wooden tokens to move and shoot.
Oh my gosh, that sounds awesome.
We've got to play this.
Yeah, we should.
But so in the vein of Secret Hitler, yeah, I told 14 of my coworkers, and by 14, all of my coworkers that are on my immediate team and the other manager on one of the other teams, they should play this game.
Is your coworker that's secretly a fascist? Was he I don't know what you're talking about. What?
They were I hope there weren't any Jews on your guys' game night. Jeez. I was I don't think any of them were, but if they were, man, it was cool. Liberals won.
Yeah, the liberals actually won every time.
And I even tried to help the fascists that last game. Because yes, I could see how like with less people, it's like, yeah, it's harder to.
The fascists are much weaker the less people there are.
There needs to be.
There's a hard way to balance it too. Like I don't know how I don't know if there's a good way for them to balance it.
I think there's a possible way in adding a third party, which is someone that has an ulterior motive. Like
I'm the Tanner.
Well, so let's say like a Tanner. Well, maybe not a Tanner character in that you have to get yourself shot. Although that's another idea. I was thinking of someone that has a vendetta against a specific person. Mm-hmm. So you want to get a person shot or killed, but not yourself. Because I think that'd be harder. Incriminating yourself is extremely easy. Well, not extremely easy, but pretty easy.
Well, it's easy to incriminate yourself if you know of a character. So by the Tanner, for those who are listening, I play a lot of werewolf, and by I play a lot of werewolf, I host a lot of werewolf, and that game is like, it's your village. Everyone in the party everyone in the room is a village, and there are werewolves among them. So every night in Ultimate Werewolf, the werewolves vote, and they have to vote unanimously to kill someone. And then at the beginning of the day, that person's out. They no longer have their special powers. And everyone votes to figure out who the werewolves are. And they're trying to kill all the werewolves. And one night, Ultimate Werewolf, it's just a one round type thing. Everyone does their thing. And everyone's talking amongst themselves and voting to figure out who to kill. In that game, there's a person called the Tanner. His story is he hates his life so much that he wants to die. If he can convince people that he is a werewolf by like deflecting, by protecting other werewolves and doing like a good enough job. So like if he dies, he wins. If the werewolves die, the villagers win. If all the villagers die, the werewolves win. So that's kind of how the game works. So when I say like, it's really easy for Secret Hitler to like make yourself look like a fascist and thus die. That's just because there's no actual Tanner character in there.
Right.
But if everyone's aware of, hey, there's a Tanner, he's acting awfully suspicious, he might not be.
It's almost like he's asking for it kind of thing.
But I still think it's relatively easy to play that role, at least personally speaking, because all you need to do is more or less pose as a different role. Like, I don't know if there's a doctor in Werewolf. There is for Town of Salem. Or a bodyguard.
There might be.
So you more or less pick out the role that you know you cannot actually fulfill, and you wait, and you claim it early, and you wait for the actual person that is lookout or doctor or whatever to basically refute you, and you try and argue as best as you can, as if you were a fascist in this case, to not be a fascist. And for that person to be the fascist, because like ultimately you causing damage to the non-werewolves or the liberals does not harm you. You just want to get yourself killed. And when it wouldn't become revealed though if you shot someone. And
that's right. It's not revealed either if anybody but Hitler is killed.
I personally feel like the third party, the jester, the Tanner, whatever you want to call it in whatever game, that role is the easiest to play because.
But at that point, everyone's suspecting, hey, you might be the jester, so...
You just can't be a bad actor. Like, you actually need to act like a fascist or a werewolf and not act like a suicidal werewolf.
Yeah, it's the better you sell the act. Yeah, that makes sense.
The more legit you act, the easier it becomes to get yourself killed. You just have to catch yourself in a lie.
Man, so I just need to play more werewolf and not narrate the werewolf, because I never actually get to play the game. As many times I've played it, I'm always a narrator. So like Lizzie, when we were playing Faking It the other day, it was like Lizzie's like, oh yeah, Cookie's gonna be real great at this game. No, Cookie's terrible at that game. Cookie's just awful because
but he can describe what's going on.
I can describe what's going on real fucking well. But yeah, besides that, it's just like, yeah, nah, hey, I'm the narrator, I'm the DM.
We should really play Town of Salem sometime. Like, just over the notion of we can't always meet up. And Town of Salem can be a quick, simple 10-minute thing.
Yeah,
I'm done.
That'd be cool.
And not to mention we could collaborate and cheat because we're all assholes. But no, actually, that wouldn't take... It doesn't necessarily take the fun out because then you start to realize, even though you're like conniving with each other, that you're actually lying to your friends that you're talking to on chat as well. No, I'm a townsman. I'm a townsfolk. Are you Mafia? No, I'm not Mafia.
No, I'm down. But so Lil Hitler, Secret Hitler, Lil Secret Hitler. Yeah, so Secret Hitler. Yeah, it was
good. You know what else was more enjoyable than I thought it'd be, but maybe not the most enjoyable thing. I'm already giving my opinion on it. Another, which we did not watch past episode, or we didn't watch episode 5 like we said last episode.
Right, we watched up to episode 4.
That was confusing. Yeah, we watched up to episode 4. Cookie, you've already seen the series as a whole, so of course we will not be getting spoilers from you, but you have recently seen 1 through 4, so you have a fresh idea of what's going on.
We are going to be spoiling, right? Because it'll be hard to talk about.
We're going to be spoiling up to episode 4, and Scott and I will be speculating.
Yeah,
at least I will be doing a lot of speculation.
Speculation's fine. There's some really obvious speculation I can make.
Well, first, is there anything you want to talk about? Like
that girl's a ghost. She's a ghost, everybody.
Okay,
right?
So
am I right?
Yeah. Totally
okay, she's a ghost. I got it.
So
boom, mystery solved. I don't even have to watch 8 more episodes.
Super quick narrative to this anime in case you haven't seen it and don't want to see it, but still want to listen to us yap about bullshit. Is that it's more or less seems like a ghost story involving a bunch of murders around the school.
So basically, what happens is 28 years ago, 27 years ago. 26 years ago.
You've got really good memory when it comes to anime, by the way. I should just say the things that I've watched upon your recommendation, your description has been eerily accurate. And I'm just like, damn, man, I could never remember details like that.
Yeah. So 26 years ago, it was not the freshman class, it was junior class.
It's the third year class for a middle school.
Yeah. Third year class for a middle school. A girl dies. And one of the kids can't cope with the trauma of that girl dying. So they're like, no, she's there. She's right there. And then the entire class gets in on it. And then all the students get in on it. And then the teachers start getting on it. And then so throughout the years, when that class graduates, the principal...
Hold on. You haven't necessarily said this part. We only know what happens the first year.
Yes. No, this is the first year. No, sorry. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So when the class graduates 26 years ago, when that class graduates, the principal has her seat there. And then, this is where this ghost story kind of starts.
And since then, we have now
kind of learned that there's a curse on that class. Yep. That if certain things happen, and we don't know what these triggering events are yet.
Which I'll speculate a shit ton about.
I imagine it's the girl dying, Mei Misaki.
Misaki Ray?
It's Mei.
It's Mei.
Oh, Mei is the original one?
May's the cousin. One in this like timeline.
No, I think it's Ray in this timeline.
Nope, it's Mei.
Is it Mei?
Okay. It's one of the two. Either way.
I know it's Mei.
So basically, something happens, and then people start dying in that class because it is cursed.
And so far, we have 2 direct deaths with the class specifically.
2 coincidental deaths.
Yep. So it's so basically, and what the thing is, it doesn't matter if you are in the class or if you're immediate family of the class, you are at risk.
Okay, so
that explains episode 4.
So Scott, you said specifically that, and they actually talk about it in either 3 or 4, that specific connection.
Mm-hmm.
You think that the current Misaki is a ghost?
It seems like she is a ghost, and I can be wrong, but.
Because no one acknowledges her except for this kid.
They have lined it up so well to make her a ghost. And that's the thing is like, they can twist this either way. And I think it'll make sense to me, however they do it, whether they stick with the fact that, yeah, she actually is a ghost and our main character just can't say it, you know?
Okay.
Or like everybody else is ignoring this girl in some sort of response that we don't know the context as to why, which would also make sense to me as a twist. But at the end of the day, she has a doll's eye.
So, and before you can do that, I have to ask a question about rules of what I can actually say. Can I say up to, like, point out little details to anything that happened up to episode 4?
Yes, but you cannot.
Perfect. Okay,
and you cannot foreshadow things that happen after. But I have a feeling I may be covering some of those things you might point out up to episode 4. So, okay, deduction time. First thing I want to talk about is the protagonist. Since this is an anime featuring a brown-haired main character who fits several protagonist criteria, one of which includes that he seems to have a connection to this town or city in the country, we can safely assume that Soichi plays a pivotal role in the events of this anime.
Lies!
That is to say, he is not a bystander. This is supported by the fact that Misaki Mei, I don't know why I thought it was Rei, but current day Misaki claims that his classmates associate his name to death. That's at the end of episode 1. That's really important.
His mom's name is Rei.
His mom's Rei. It's Ritsuko, actually. Ritsuko, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say that his family name, which is the Sakaki Bara, is the name that's associated to death, especially since she phrases it strangely immediately after saying that tidbit. And all of his friends call him Soichi, which, I mean, if you're not, or classmates, if you're not that close to someone, you normally call them by their last name. Oh, wait, no, maybe I think some do. Maybe Izumi does. That said, we know of 6 deaths so far in the anime. 3 that are connected to the main character, 1 that is indirectly connected. The 2 that are not include the Misaki from 26 years ago and Misaki's cousin, Misaki, that apparently dies that the nurse tells him about. So here's the thing, we technically don't know or can't confirm those deaths. We don't know if there is a cousin Misaki.
We didn't see them happen, yeah. Yeah,
we also don't know whether the story from 26 years ago is true or not. We can assume it's probably true, but I'm just saying that we can hold off the speculation on that, at least for this conversation. The 3 that have connections are Soichi's mother, who died during or immediately after childbirth, and I'm assuming is at that hospital where she gave birth. His classmate Yukari, which is the umbrella incident, and then the book nurse, who might have had a thing for him. But what connections do we actually have between their deaths? We don't know exactly how the mother died, so we can't really say there. But the commonality between Yukari and the book nurse was that they were talking about Misaki at some point before they died. Talking about both the ghost story Misaki and the current day Misaki. The nurse death seemed to come immediately after denying the existence of Misaki and telling Soichi about her findings on the original Misaki. So it's, kind of, who knows. Yukari's death seems to be immediately after she looks at maybe Misaki, but maybe not. But the day before, she's talking to Misaki.
She at least looks at the main character who is standing next to her.
So, we still don't necessarily know exactly what that pattern is, but there's something there. Now, the important thing is, you've already pointed out that there are familial ties with this curse. We also know that Yukari's mother died in May, which I think is around the time that Soichi moves to town. But more importantly, it's before he starts going to school. So we don't witness this on screen or whatnot. Yukari also gets a call or something before she goes and runs out the classroom, like a counselor or a teacher goes into the classroom to alert her.
So they actually said what that call was.
Did they?
Mm-hmm. Because they say, why was she rushing out? Why did she take that stairway? Because it was so far away.
Right. So why was she rushing out?
Wing.
We heard that her mother died. Her mother was in a car accident.
Oh, so that's why she ran out. So that's the thing. Like, we don't necessarily know whether her mother's death, is also possibly linked. It could be. I'm not writing that off. And like you said, as the anime seems to imply, the current day Misaki does not exist in the physical realm. But I feel like there are a lot of the not so subtle hints pointing at that are actually evidence that she does exist. So the biggest thing is the doll store worker. Mm-hmm. She tells Soichi that he is the only customer, even when Misaki's in the basement.
Right.
But she also repeats the exact same thing when he goes the second time. Mm-hmm. The exact same phrasing, doesn't acknowledge that he's been there before.
Right. So, yeah. She says these same lines.
Yep.
It's almost as though they went back to the episode previously and cut what had happened then and just pasted it again.
Except for with the second time, he actually didn't get to talk nearly as much. The first time he actually said, "This is where I'm from."
She
said the exact same thing.
Dialogue.
And so with that being said, I'm wondering if either she's a doll or maybe senile, or there's also the possibility that she's not lying and that Misaki is an inhabitant of that store, that she lives either in like the studio upstairs or something to that regard. Also, the outgoing male classmate claims that Soichi should not mess with things that don't exist. Way too on the nose for me, but it does bring up the possibility that denying her existence is what allows the students to be safe. That might be supported by Yukari's reaction to Rei and Soichi before her death.
Mm-hmm.
So Izumi, the pigtail tsundere, claims that if she had not been absent for Soichi's first day, that everything could have been avoided. That makes me feel like the trigger or the death flag, as we'll call it.
Was him acknowledging her, right?
Yeah, is something to that regard. But why is he not dying due to his acknowledgement if that's really what the case is?
He's the harbinger of death.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So all of these things make
or
me
he's
feel like...
also dead. Ooh.
Well, so yeah, like...
He's got a heart condition.
Also, there's something really, really curious that I
lung
feel
condition. I'm sorry, yeah,
is important as fuck to point out. Reiko, his aunt...
Doshite, Rei. Doshite, Rei-chan.
Right?
I hate that fucking bird.
Ohio!
Yeah.
She says in the first episode, and I didn't catch this until I rewatched part of the first episode before I came here. She says in the first episode that she goes to Yomi High, like the high school he went to. But in episode 3 or 4, she lies and said that she went to a different
she said she went to a high school. I don't know.
Oh, wait,
she says that she goes to a different middle school or
middle
something.
school, yeah, sorry. So I'm pretty sure that there is also something like I'm not necessarily
she's
very
relevant.
Upset
and disturbed when he wants to talk about it.
Yep, so. But she is lying too, and I have a feeling that everyone is lying at this point, with the exception of maybe current day Misaki
and Pancake Nurse. Oh, she was just normal nurse before episode 4.
So those are my speculations up to this point.
One thing to say: when you say that she denied that she went to that school, it was Pancake Nurse that didn't go to that school. She was the only person that said she didn't. Rei says she was also in class 3.
She said something in the first episode, but I think she denies it in... Yeah, I could be wrong.
No, that's when she actually acknowledged she was in class 3 as well.
Okay.
In episode 4. So yeah.
She also acknowledges that his mother was
also in class 3. And yeah, Pancake Nurse is the only person that said she went to South instead of North.
Okay.
But...
is that important, I wonder?
That Pancake Nurse went to South instead of North? Well,
she's a family member, so she's associated either way.
Yeah.
And it kind of comes to why she's so ignorant of the curse at that point. If she didn't go to the same school, why would she know anything about it?
Okay. All right.
Were you reading off of notes?
Yeah, I literally typed up this report so I could come prepared. Though I had to jump around a bit since we already covered some of it.
No, I like it.
It's really good. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to continue a freewheel, but I like that.
After saying all of that and getting as passionate as I am so far, I also kind of have to say I'm not enjoying this anime all that much. I'm enjoying the mystery aspect of it a shit ton, but I feel like characters getting killed for the sake of being killed is really dulling down the purpose of death in this anime.
I'm trusting Cookie because we also told you to watch Mirai Nikki, and we were like, there's going to be times where you're going to feel like, oh, this is mediocre. It won't be when it comes together. And so that's what I'm hoping this is.
So with that in the future of this anime, it's a thing.
It'll come together.
It kind of comes together. It doesn't super it's not Mirai Nikki.
Right. I hold that at a pretty high, that's a pretty high level of quality that I don't necessarily anticipate out of everything I watch.
What I don't necessarily see improving, because I'm assuming that there will be a conclusion that will be satisfying. But the thing I'm holding against it more than anything is just the fact that it felt like Yukari's death and the nurse's death were not necessarily super meaningful to me as a viewer because we had very limited time to Yukari. And the book nurse, It seemed like there was an attempt to thresh out her personality some.
I was sad to lose her.
It's less of a thing for how you should react to their death. It's how you should react to how the students are reacting to their death.
And that's another thing. It was really weird that the students, one seems to be mourning Yukari.
No, they immediately went into let's explain Yukari's death and why this happened.
So the thing that I get from this anime is from rewatching the first episode, is actually from the first time I watched the first episode, I was like, fuck, these middle schoolers are fucking tense as balls.
They're all edgelords, yeah.
They're all just every little thing. So when the glass breaks and he saves the girl,
I don't want to die.
Yeah.
They're all they're all in self-preservation mode. As soon as they find out as soon as the first death happens, they're like, fuck. And I don't think we even got to see the reaction. We haven't seen the reaction yet for the second death yet.
That's right.
Because her brother goes to that school. He's in his class.
Yeah, he looks at him prior to the call and prior to the elevator scene. Nothing of note there. Just when he's getting the cold shoulder from everyone, he looks at him at one point, and he during lunch, and they make eye contact, and he looks down.
Well, everyone was looking down at that point, but so with the girl who umbrella girl, with her, it's everyone's kind of mourning her death, but they're moving on because
they need to get their shit together.
That's what their school does.
Yeah.
As soon as the girl 26 years ago died, they're like, hey, we need to all work together and graduate as a whole. That's quite literally kind of, I think, what the principal says again after Umbrella Girl dies as well. Because principal's new. He doesn't know what the fuck's going on. Because the students are all saying, why the fuck did he put a kid in this class?
Guys. These things happen.
It's okay.
His speech, yeah,
I know that a couple of months after watching that death the first time, it was I didn't look at umbrellas the same way for a while there.
Fucking penguin shows up out of nowhere, forgets his umbrella at the Japanese high school. And when I say penguin, I mean the Batman villain.
Yeah.
Because, I understand going through a blunt object at the right velocity, but the anime made that umbrella seem dangerous even beforehand. Why the fuck do you have a combat umbrella?
Ooh, so I want to get into foreshadowing, but foreshadowing up to what happens to episode 4.
Okay.
So just for you guys to keep an eye out for this. When they first introduced Umbrella Girl, there was when she was coming out because they were going to share an umbrella because it was raining.
Mm-hmm.
There was just a solid screenshot of the point of her umbrella that episode.
That's right. Yeah.
And with Pancake Lady,
he's been in the elevator.
But one time they actually showed those two talking. Mm-hmm. Then there was a cut to the elevator, and the elevator shifted a little bit, and then it cut back to them talking.
That's right.
I also noticed that during the opening,
there's a boat.
Well, yeah. So during the opening, there are scenes that now seem to be foreshadowing the ways people die. There's a scene of there's a cut to an umbrella. Maybe it's an umbrella stand. I can't remember. There's a cut to an elevator. Then there's a cut to a boat, I think, or something. I'll have to look back over it. But if we look at that opening again, I'm pretty sure we're going to see the third death, or at least one of the next significant deaths
on a boat.
Scott and I were both saying that we're assuming that there's going to be a death every episode at this point. Which
I'm not spoiling it, but yeah, it's pretty much so. Have they said what the full curse is yet?
No,
they haven't. So
haven't.
Okay, so basically, there may or may not be a death every episode.
I'm assuming that there might even be more than one death, possibly once.
Oh my god!
I think this last episode had 2 deaths in it.
No, Yukari was episode 3.
Yeah, it's acknowledging a death, which I guess they're going to have to do now every time. It's this death just happened at the end of episode 4.
Yeah.
And then episode 5 ends with the death of somebody else.
I stand corrected. I think they show the death in episode 3 again in 4.
That's right before the opening.
So, but they acknowledge the mom and the girl's death.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
I think that's when they do their little class powwow, though, and they talk it out, why'd she die?
Ooh, keep
why'd she
timings.
take this?
Focus on time as well.
Okay.
No, not on the anime. On the anime.
No. Yeah, I have taken note too.
I noticed in your little
time
thing,
jumps.
like, yeah.
Like,
so
I like the issue is that so far every jump in the narrative has been in a way that I can't ascertain what is current day and what might be slight past and whatnot. It's hard for me to determine it. But,
strikes me as
there are totally narrative changes.
So basically, he mentions time a couple of times in these episodes. We know that he got sick at the beginning of the school year.
Yep.
So he missed a month.
Which assumedly he is probably starting class in April. I think if we're using Persona as our guideline for classes.
Actually, no. I think they mentioned that.
No, yeah, too. They say he were out.
You missed April, and now it's May, and somebody died in May.
So it's So then he said he'd find out at May what the actual story was at the beginning of May, I believe, right?
Yes.
I don't know my months in order.
No, I think you're right.
So he came to school April. He missed, what's before April?
He missed March.
He missed March, came to school April because it was the end of April when they said, hey, I'll tell you what's going on at the beginning of May.
No, they do that in June.
May, June, sorry. Yeah, I'm in Persona time still because that's when everything starts. So yeah, but either way.
Spoilers, things happen in April, just like 3 and 4.
But so yeah, so I like your notes.
Get on my level, Scott. No, you really don't need
Pass.
to. Yeah. As a mystery so far, I'm really enjoying it. Like, I don't feel attached to any character yet, but
yeah, actually I'd be willing to pitch that approaching this as me and Neil trying to solve the mystery, or at least foreshadow the mystery, is a lot more fun than the anime itself has been.
Okay, so I won't tell you the.
So no, don't spoil it.
No, I'm not spoiling it for you. But for those who have listened to the podcast, and every time I've mentioned this show, I've always mentioned one thing about it. Don't tell Neil.
Which
Scott.
That's what I was wondering, because I was trying to remember if I knew what it was.
I brought up the missing desk thing. That's what it was. Or that
no,
was
that wasn't what I mentioned about the about the anime.
Okay. Is that a different one then?
The missing desk thing?
Yeah.
Mm-mm. Wait, what? Missing desk thing?
Okay, maybe I have.
Because that's what I was associating to it too. So
on one of our very first talks, you talked about an anime where people were dying in a classroom. It's like if your desk is gone, then your time is up. You remember that?
Wording would be a little bit different, but kind of. No,
you have to leave an open desk or something like that.
Oh, maybe it's like that. Who knows? Yeah, it had something to do with desks either existing or not existing, being occupied or not occupied.
That's important.
Okay, that's what I thought.
But that's not.
Holy shit!
But that's not the spoiler.
I think I might.
Ooh,
I'm keeping it to myself.
Okay.
Actually,
yeah, keep it to yourself.
I want to see.
But when I mentioned the anime, I always mentioned one thing about it, and that's what I don't want you guys to remember.
I have an idea of what I want to look for the next death. What happens? Like I think there's something that I can see, like that I'll be able to determine it and go, this is the day that somebody dies, because they'll do multi-day takes so far in the episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's something that it has to happen on that day for somebody to die.
Oh, and
you can't talk about
guys, it's been a great podcast. I'm Neil.
I'm Scott.
Cookie.
And this was Fancy Ramen Part 2 of Episode 12, April 23rd, 2017, because it's going to go up a day after the first part. Whatever. It's been great. If you want to reach out to us, you can email us at podcast@fancyramen.com.
Also, if you guys are keeping up with our watching of another, we'll be up to Episode 8 at this point. We'll watch through Episode 8.
So send in your feedback and comments and your mysterious what you think's going to happen next.
I feel sad that I've pieced together this, but I know exactly what you're talking about, which is what we're going to talk about right after we stop this recording.
Bye.
Have a great day, everybody.
Peace.